Establishment visits log with risk notification system. Project objective. The establishment visits log with risk notification system is a QR-based mobile application that stores each user's recent establishment visits, including the date upon entrance. With the gathered data, the system aims to ease the processes of case investigation and contact tracing, as it will automatically notify users who are at risk of being exposed to the coronavirus. With this application, infected individuals will no longer undergo questioning of whom they have had close contact with during the days they have may been infectious. Significance of the project. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic is unquestionably a very relevant area of investigation right now. The function of this project and the data associated with this application will highly benefit society by aiding the process of contact tracing. What we have right now are logbooks and a pen to write down our establishment visits. The problem with this approach is it is not automated, thus not reliable. The application will automate all of this work and immediately notify users of possible exposure once a user reported an active case. Target user or customer, the citizens. The citizens will benefit from this application because they will be aware of possible exposure to the virus. They will know what action to undertake before things get bad. Public health authorities. Public health authorities can utilize this to immediately trace those who had contact with an infected person and inform these people about it. Local government units. Local government units can take advantage of this application in controlling the spread of virus within the community. Similar existing project is the Trace application. It also uses QR code scanning, and it was primarily used on Naiya Airport before casual establishments made use of it too.
In today's video, I will show you all of the functionalities of our application. Let's first start off with the sign up activity. So as you can see from our database console, there are no users registered for this project yet. So we will make an account for it. In the sign up page, just enter your credentials, like your name. And then the city you're in, and of course your barangay. Next up is your email address. Make sure that your email address is valid because you will have to verify it later. And then your password. So the application requires the password to be at least 6 characters. So if you will click this button, we will see that the registration will be successful and the account will be saved on the database. It says here that the registration is successful. Let's refresh the database to see if it really was successful. So your account is already here and this is your user ID. So let's also see how will the sign up activity handle the inputs that are invalid. Let's leave the name field blank. And you can see that it will throw an error that empty fields are prohibited. Let's also try to input an invalid email address. So it will also throw an error that it is an invalid email address. Next up is let's try a password that is too short. And yes, it will throw an error that the password should at least be 6 characters. So what will happen if we will register an email address that is already taken? As you can see here, the email address jdgosiengfiao24@gmail.com is already taken. So let's try to register that again. As you can see, it was unsuccessful because the email is already taken. So I guess that's it for the sign up activity. So after the successful account registration, we will now try to log in our account. We will enter our email here, which is gosiengfiao24@gmail.com. And then our password is 123456. If we will try to log it in, it says that we must check our email first to verify our account. So I will head here on my Gmail account and will verify the account that I previously registered. Just click the link provided and it will say that your email has been successfully verified. So now we can continue to sign in. This is the main menu of our application and you can see multiple buttons here. So the next thing that I will show is the account management of this application. If you will click this My Account button, there are two options, the Logout button and the Change Password button. Let's check how the Change Password button works. So we will just click it and it will say that we must check our email to reset our password. So heading back to my Gmail account, we can reset our password using the link provided as well. Just click it and then we will input our new password. Our new password will be ABCDEF. So let's save it. Now it says that we can now sign in with our new password. So let's see if it really worked. Let's log our account. Log out our account and then try the new password. Let's type ABCDEF. So as you can see, we successfully changed our password.
So before continuing with the other functionalities of our application, I want to add a little more regarding the login page. So we will log out our account and try to see if it will accept invalid credentials and empty fields. So let's leave the email field blank. And we will see here that it will throw an error that it is an empty field. Let's try to type our email address. Let's type an incorrect password to see if the application will throw an error. As you can see, the login wasn't successful because our password was incorrect. And the login activity won't accept empty fields regarding the password as well. So let's go back to the main menu.
The next thing that I will be showing is the facility registration. You just have to click the generate QR code button. Again, it won't accept empty fields. It will always throw an error for an empty field. So if you're someone who owns an establishment, this feature is for you. You just have to type the name of your establishment and then the branch. So after clicking this check button right here, we will see on our database that the facility will be successfully registered. So Jollibee Tanza was successfully registered and the owner ID is being shown here as well. Also, the QR code is here and you just have to take a screenshot of it. So the next functionality that I will be showing is the enter an establishment functionality. So if you want to enter an establishment, you just have to click the enter an establishment button and scan the QR code of the establishment that you want to enter. So let's scan the QR code of the Jollibee Tanza that we previously registered. The screenshot of the QR code of Jollibee Tanza is right in front of us. As you can see right here, it says that the establishment is the Jollibee Tanza. So I will also show you the database. Right now, we can see that user Joanne doesn't have any current visits. But if we will click the confirm button and the save button, we will see that the visit will be saved to the database. So it is right here. The 152 number there indicates the end day of the year. So the date today is June 1, 2021, and that is the 152nd day of the year. So after showing the enter an establishment functionality, I will now proceed to the self-report functionality. So if you ever found out that you are positive of the COVID-19 virus, you just have to click the health status and click the self-report button right here. So again, as you can see from the database, there are no reported active cases yet. But if user Joanne will click the self-report button right here, we will see that the report was successfully submitted and there is an active case right now. So this one is the visit ID of user Joanne a while ago, and this will be the basis of our application to search for users who has that visit as well. For example, if another user has this visit ID with the same day, which is the 152nd day of the year, the application will detect that match and will notify that other user that he or she may have been exposed to the COVID-19 virus. So you will see the execution or the main functionality of our application during the last part of the presentation. Just keep in mind that the visit ID will be the basis of the application to look for other users that has this visit ID as well. And if there are users who has this visit ID as well, the application will notify that certain user of possible exposure.
So to test the correctness of our program, I deleted the active list and I manually added a visit ID that happened during the 136th day of the year. That means this visit is already 16 days old. So we will see if it will be uploaded to the active list if the user reported himself or herself positive of the COVID-19 virus. So let's try to report our health status again. So as you can see, although this visit ID is under the visit history of user Joanne, it was not uploaded to the active list because this ID is already 16 days old and it happened on the 136th day of the year. So the bottom line is, if the visit is already more than 14 days old, it won't be uploaded or listed under the active list.
So for now, I will end the presentation here and I will not yet show the main functionality of our application, which is the notification system, because that feature will be shown at the last part of our presentation.
Methodology. The IDE that we use to develop this project is Android Studio. Our language for the front-end side of the application is Java. For the back-end, we made use of Firebase, which is a non-SQL database program. We also made use of Figma to visualize the GUI before coding it on our layout files. The APIs that we use for the QR scanner are Google's barcode scanning library under MLKit's Vision APIs and Camera X library. For the QR code generator, we made use of Zixing library. Since our backend was made using Firebase Real-Time Database, which is a non-SQL program, the ERD will be presented using a tree structure. From the root node, there are three children: the active node, facility node, and the user node. Under the active node, there will be key value pairs which will store information of visits of people who turned out to be positive. Under facility node is the facility ID, which will hold the identifier of facilities. Under that are the basic information regarding the facilities. Under the user node is the user ID to identify each user, and below that are the basic information of each user as well. Sign in and sign up pages, main menu and account management pages, updates and health status pages, pages for the enter an establishment activity, generate QR code page. The external entity or the user will scan the QR code of the establishment he or she wishes to enter. The details of the visit will be then saved in the user visits data store. If the user turned out to be positive and reported himself or herself using the application, the user visits will be fetched from the visits data store and will be listed under the active list data store. The application will then send an exposure notification to other users if it detected a match between the active list and the visit history of other users.
I will show you the execution or the main functionality of our application since we already recorded and showed the videos regarding the login activity, the sign up activity, and the facility registration activity. We will only focus on how the application really works and what really is the purpose of this application. So I have here two different accounts logged in on two different phones. On my left is user Joanne and on my right is user Aldous. For example, let's first check out the updates button from the phones. As you can see, the application is saying that they have no recent exposure of the COVID-19 virus based on their visit history. So, for example, let's say that both of the users want to enter the Jollibee Tanza establishment. They will just click this enter an establishment button and scan the QR code right in front of us. As you can see here, it is the Jollibee Tanza establishment. Just click here to confirm. And then save the login or the visit. So the visit was successfully saved to the database. Let's do it on the other phone as well. So just like a while ago, it is the Jollibee Tanza. Click here to confirm and then press the save button to save the visit onto the database. So it was successfully saved. Let's say, for example, that user Joanne turned out to be positive of the COVID-19 virus 5 days later. What if 5 days later she found out that she is positive of the COVID-19 virus? Of course, using the application, she will report herself by pressing the health status button and then pressing this self-report button. After pressing that, the report was successfully submitted to the database and the application will detect the possible exposure of other users. So we both know that user Joanne and user Aldous both went to the Jollibee Tanza establishment on the same day. So if we will click the updates button on the phone of user Aldous, can now see that the application is giving him a warning that he may have been exposed to the COVID-19 virus, and the application is suggesting to get himself tested.